Thanks and welcome. The next presidential debate is just weeks away, and things are really starting to heat up. We're already seeing op-eds, Twitter threads, analysis, all over who is going to be the Democrats' best chance at defeating President Donald Trump in the 2020 presidential election. Now, are there more important things that we should be focused on as a nation? Who can say? But while the GOP continues to goose step further to the right, the most egotistical of the liberals have launched their bids to become the next leader of the free world. July 30th marks the date of the next Democratic presidential debate, and it's going to be our chance to re-enter the hamster's womb that is the Democratic primary field. But with so many candidates out there, how are you supposed to choose? Well, let's break them down for a second. Let's start with the candidates that are polling the lowest. These are the candidates polling behind people like Senator Cory Booker, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, and Governor No Answer. These are the people you see on the debate stage and you ask, how did they get up there? And I don't have an answer for you. All I can tell you is that after spending weeks reading through their policy proposals, I still can't tell them apart. Now, is it possible that one of these candidates could ultimately end up being the nominee? Sure. Anything's possible. Crazier things have happened. But the chances of the American people unifying behind someone like John Hickenlooper to face off against Donald Trump is as if NASA found out that there were an asteroid coming to destroy Earth, and to help, they enlisted John Hickenlooper. My suggestion, just ignore these people. They'll go away eventually, fall through the cracks like all the other failed presidential candidates like Bobby Jindal and John Kerry. Now let's move on to the candidates that have a fighting chance. Ultimately, though there are still many of them, they boil down into three categories. You've got the Democratic Socialists, like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, and while in the coming weeks you'll likely see online that the Nazis were socialists, they weren't. They were Nazis. The progressive ideals that Warren and Sanders are trying to introduce often energize voters and bring people to the ballot box who haven't voted in past elections. But it can also scare away some of the wealthier Democrats who say things like everybody should be treated equally, but when their maid's out of the room. Next, we've got the Status Quo Democrats. These are the people that want to bring us back to the time when Obama was president. Don't you remember that? Wasn't that nice? When the biggest controversies a president could face was tan suits or wearing mom jeans. A vote for one of these people would be a vote for all Americans. For the oligarchs that rule over our society and own everything there is about us. And us, the rats, who feed off their crumbs. Lastly, our third category, Joe Biden. I'm sorry, that's the wrong picture. Much better. Joe Biden is instrumental in creating some of the vast inequality that we see in America. His policies led to mass incarceration and the 2008 financial collapse, both of which he's unapologetic for. So while Joe Biden is liberal only in name, it's also fair to say that if this were a zombie apocalypse and Joe Biden got bit, he would tell no one until it was much too late. Ultimately, it's all going to be on the American people in the next few days who they choose to be the next Democratic nominee, which is why these debates are so important. Unfortunately, the July 30th debate is going to have so many people on the stage that we're unlikely to get anywhere at all. Chances are we'll be focusing on things like healthcare, of which many of the candidates have introduced their plans, most just opting for variations on Obamacare, while some have done the same thing but have tagged on a special name for it, like, as you can see here, Joe Biden's Affordable Care Act 2.0, John Delaney's Better Care, and Michael Bennett's Medicare X, which from my understanding is just Medicare, but you can air dash. What the fuck? Regardless, I'm looking for a couple things in the next presidential debate. First of all, charisma. I want to see somebody that can really stand up against President Trump. I'm also looking for someone with strong policy ideals so that they can show that they can be trusted and that they know what they're talking about. And lastly, I'm looking for someone with a lot of upper body strength, because if the president loses in the 2020 election, there's almost 0% chance that he's going to leave the Oval Office willingly. That's why we're going to need someone with the grip strength to get through the viscous mucus that's on the outside of his body, and be prepared for their arms to sink in way deeper than they were expecting, like a beached whale. Now, will the next debate answer our questions and get us any closer to the next Democratic nominee? We'll have to wait and find out. Until next time, this one's over.